According to the World Economic Forum's 2017 Global Report on Gender Gap, if nothing changes to improve the condition of women, it will take 100 years for women to achieve pay equality. Compared to the 2016 report, things have actually gotten worse for women by 17 years. In the last 2 years, things have gotten so bad that it is going to take us an additional 17 years to make the same wage that our male coworkers make. So if 50 Cent's motto is get rich or die trying, mine is equal pay or die trying. And according to Lean In, men in the workplace are less committed to gender diversity efforts because they think that women are actually doing better at work than they are, when really, women are less likely to ask for what they want, and they receive less support as a result, which means that they can hit a much earlier glass ceiling in their career. The solution for many organizations is to put in programs into place in the workplace, which is important, but the seeds of inequality are actually planted long before a woman ever submits her first resume or CV. A study by Common Sense Media found that children start learning gender stereotypes by the age of 2. So if we really want to shift the gender pay gap and the paradigm of women earning about 68% of what men do globally, we need to start intervening as early as possible. So in my talk today, I'm going to be sharing 3 ways to help close the wage gap by rethinking how we socialize, educate, and mentor our future generations. So according to psychologist Dr. Christia Spears-Brown, by the 6th grade, more than 1/3 of women have experienced sexual harassment, and by the time that girls finish high school, the statistic has skyrocketed to 90%. 90% of girls who graduate high school will have experienced sexual harassment at least once. And sexual harassment can have long-term and permanent debilitating effects, including anxiety, depression, and PTSD, even when you receive treatment. And this can have an impact on a young woman's academic career, which can affect the colleges that she gets into, the grants that she gets, the scholarships that she gets, her academic achievements, the types of jobs that she's available for, and then her mental state while on the job. I am a part of the 1/3 of girls who was sexually harassed by a male student by the 6th grade. I was just standing in line at the pencil sharpener, minding my own business, waiting to sharpen my pencil, like I'm sure so many of you in this auditorium have done today. Well, he turned around, and being much taller than me, as an adult, I'm only 5'1", so that's not a difficult task, he started towering over me and making a crude sexual comment about something that he had seen in a movie. To this day, I still suffer from anxiety when standing in line. When I reported the incident to my teacher, she told me to stop being a drama queen and go back to my seat. So if we want to start shifting the wage gap, and if we want women to feel safe at work and safe to demand what they deserve, which is equal pay, that starts in the classroom and it starts in schools. It means major policy shifts so that every single student, not just women, feels safe to come to school and do the one thing that they're supposed to do: learn. It also means that women are supposed to be able to come to school and to grow and to flourish. How many of the ladies in the auditorium, put up your hand, have experienced some version of the pencil sharpener incident? There are definitely some of you in here who have, which is sad, and it shouldn't have to happen. Schools should be a safe place, and we need to do that not only by changing policy, but by changing curriculum, so that we can include things about women's rights and gender equality at a much higher level, as well as discussions around sexual consent, bodily autonomy, and all the things that have an impact on how a young woman feels in her safety and in her body as she is growing. Also an issue for women at work is a confidence gap. It's been shown that girls who are in STEM classes in college feel that they're the only people who are struggling, or they're the only people who find classes difficult, and they just naturally assume that all of their peers find the classes that they find difficult to be easy. And by the time that they graduate, Dr. Marilyn Davidson found that 5 years out of the gate, men believe that they deserve an $80,000 a year salary after graduating from business school, but women only believe that they deserve $64,000. So if you're going into a job negotiating for an entry-level salary and you believe that you deserve less money than your male counterparts, it can literally affect the entire financial trajectory of the rest of your life, including how often you ask for a raise or promotion. So this gap in confidence is cemented for most girls at the age of 6. Researchers at the University of Illinois found that while at the age of 5, both boys and girls were likely to pick their own gender as being the smartest, by the time that girls had reached the age of 6, they now were no longer picking their own gender as the smartest. And in order to make matters worse, when they were given toys that were either hard work or associated with brilliance, girls far more often picked the toys that were associated with hard work, which is difficult because women often do a lot of additional labor with families and with their careers in addition to the labor that men traditionally do. So where does this gap come from, though? In large part, it has to do with parenting. Studies have shown that confident parents tend to produce confident children. So when girls have a strong and confident parent at home, they're way more likely to be confident. And this is especially true when they have a strong male presence in their life. Because men tend to earn more, they tend to ask for what they want, and they tend to move through life with more confidence. If a young girl has a strong male role model who treats her as an equal and teaches her that she is smart and independent and creative, she's much more likely to succeed. In fact, in a study of 1,000 successful women, Dr. Sylvia Rim found that over 25% of the women that she interviewed for her book credited their fathers as their first positive role model. So it's clear that as parents, even if you don't feel particularly confident because perhaps you don't have the career that you want, perhaps you're not sure about where you stand in life, it's important that you teach your children to be confident and that you fake it until you make it, because the decisions that you have can have a large impact on what happens to your children in the future. And it's crucial that parents teach young boys from an early age to be allies in the fight for gender equality, and that men really step up as allies, especially for fathers who have young girls. It's a real opportunity to change their entire financial future. The final thing that can affect young women is a lack of mentorship. Strong female mentors have been proven to strong female mentors have been proven to be important to young women more than male students, because young females who have positive female role models to model their leadership and their career choices after tend to do better. It helps them increase their social capital. They can learn from the experiences of someone who's been through a similar scenario in the past, and it allows them to find someone who is doing the things that they want to do. But despite these positive benefits, only 63% of women in senior roles had reported having a female mentor, which again indicates that women are afraid to ask what they want. So mentoring women earlier on into their lives, before they enter the workforce, can help instill this confidence as they begin their journeys and as they enter into the workforce. My own mentor, Dr. Heather Igloliordi, was essential to my growth and to me even appearing on this stage. She was my mentor while I was in college, and she consistently wrote me into her grants so that I would have meaningful work in the fields that I was in. She consistently helped me practice for presentations. She would refer me for jobs. She would give me the confidence and encourage me to apply for grants and awards that I never would have had the confidence to apply for myself. So in large part, who I am today was based on having a really strong female mentor. I was the first person to go to graduate school in my family. I had no idea what that experience would be like, and having someone to help me along the path ensured that I was successful and I was one of the top performers in my class. So for the young women in the audience, it is essential that you find yourself a mentor. Look for local mentoring organizations in your area, or even better, we live in the age of the internet. Find someone who's doing what you want to do, send her an email and ask if she will mentor you. So today in my talk, we've talked about 3 things that affect women and the wage gap. And they're all things that begin way before women enter the workforce. The first is the unfair treatment of women and the sexual harassment that women have to endure. We have to do a better job of making schools a safe place so that we can decrease the statistic of 90% of girls in high school having experienced sexual harassment. We also need to ensure that as parents, we are confident and strong mentors for young women, and that we teach our young sons that women are their equals, because this can have a major impact on how they treat women throughout the rest of their lives. In addition, it's important that we find opportunities to mentor young girls, and that young girls be able to seek out mentors who have the ability to impact their lives. Here is the honest truth. If nothing is done to change the wage gap statistics that I spoke of at the beginning of my presentation, every single person in this room will be dead before we achieve gender equality for women. That might be a really morbid thought, but it serves as a prescient and urgent call to action. We need to devote more time, resources, and money to be able to fund initiatives for young women and to be able to give them the skills and confidence that they need, not just as they're entering the workforce, although that is important, but early on in life. Thank you.